إذا أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززناه بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكسبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم إن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن من ضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مسلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالأرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا ونطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون. إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلاما قولا من رب رحيم. وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم. ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون. هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون. ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون. ومن نعمره ننكس في الخلق أفلا يعقلون. وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين. أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون. واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون. فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون. أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين. وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم. الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم. إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
How's the masjid? How's the masjid?
Actually, yesterday we went to see it. It's a lot of construction. Yes,
It's not still kind of.
it's the drywalls are gone, and then the AC unit and things are gone. So everything inside is gone. Just the what do you call it? The wood structure.
Yeah.
That is still there. Because they have to first add a beam
Okay.
to stabilize the beam they carry. So it's a bearing. So
How much longer you think? Shoot.
I'm sorry.
No,
He's gonna be ready.
How was your salawat?
اللهم صل على
okay.
एक और दफा
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربيان فاطمة الزهراء عليه السلام بنت رسول الله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قال دخل علي برسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له إيذك بالله يا أبته من الضعف فقال يا فاطمة إني بالكسال يماني فأتيته بالكسال يماني فأتيته به وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجه الله يتلى كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي حسن قد أكبر وقال السلام يومه فقلت عليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة قالنا رائحة جدي رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل حسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء وقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوزي قد أذنت لك فدخل ما هو تحت الكساء.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولد حسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده والسلام عليك يا من اختار الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معكم تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي وشافي أمتي قد أذنت لك فدخل ما هو تحت الكساء.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فأقبل عند ذلك أبو حسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبو الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كان رائحة أخي وابن أمي رسول الله فقلت نعم ها هو ما وولديك تحت الكساء فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل لأن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال له عليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسي وخليفتي وصاحب اللواء قد أذنت لك فدخل علي تحت الكساء.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبت يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بذاتي قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت الكساء.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذا برسول الله بطرف الكساء وأومى يده يمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم أنا هرب لمن هاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
وقال له عز وجل يا ملائكة وسكان السماوات إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا عرشا مدية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مسية ولا فلكا يدر ولا بحر يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء فقال عز وجل هم أهل البيت النبوة مع رسالتي هم فاطمة وأبوها وبالها وبنوها.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال جبرائيل يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا فقال له نعم قد أذنت لك فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله يا العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرض مطية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلك ومحبتك وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك فدخل جبريل معنا تحت الكساء
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال للأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال علي للأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوس هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله والذي بعثني بالحق النبي واصطفاني برسالة النجيم ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيطان ومحبين إلا ونزلت عليهم رحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلا أن يتفرقوا فقال علي عليه السلام وإسم والله فزنا وفاد شيعتنا ورب الكعبة
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق النبي واصطفاني برسالة النجيم ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبين وفيه محموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله همه
إلهي آمين.
ولا طالب حاجة إلا وكسر الله حاجته
إلهي آمين.
فقال علي عليه السلام وإسلام الله فزنا وسودنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسودنا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد.
آجا صغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا آجا صغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا جاگتی ماں نے کہا میری سکینہ سو جا ہے آجا صغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا جو تجھے خوف ہے شاید میں اسے کم کر دوں آجا آنکھوں پہ تیرے نادے علی دم کر دوں دور کیوں بیٹھی ہے میری سکینہ سو جا ہے آجا صغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا باپ کے سینے پہ عادت ہے تجھے سونے کی میری گودی تیرے قابل تو نہیں ہے بیٹھی ہے میرے دل کی صدا میری سکینہ سو جا ہے آجا صغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا 4 برسوں میں نہ زحمت دعوت دی کبھی تو نے مجھے اپنی خدمت کا مجھے آج تو موقع دے دے ہوگا احسان تیرا میری سکینہ سو جا ہے آجا اصغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا قید خانے میں جو آ جائے گے تیرے بابا خود اٹھا دوں گی تجھے شانہ ہلا کر تیرا اچھا کچھ دیر ذرا میری سکینہ سو جا ہے آجا اصغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا صابروں کا یہ کرینہ تو نہیں ہے بی بی یہ ہے پردے سے مدینہ تو نہیں ہے بی بی کر کے بس شکر خدا میری سکینہ سو جا ہے آجا اصغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا اس طرح سوئی تکلم وہ یتیمہ بی بی ماں اٹھاتی رہی اٹھی نہ سکینہ بی بی پھر نبانوں نے کہا میری سکینہ سو جا ہے آجا اصغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا آجا اصغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا صلوات
ایک بار صلوات میں علی خانہ با کے بسانے والے ہیں علی خانہ با کے بسانے والے بخت خوابید اسلام جگانے والے ہیں علی خانہ کا
چوسی حضرت کی زبان سیکھ لیے سارے علوم، یوں ہی پڑھتے ہیں محمد کے گھرانے والے ہیں علی خانہ کعبہ۔ دم عیسیٰ سے اگر ہوتے ہیں مردے زندہ، ہیں علی ٹھوکروں سے مردے جلانے والے ہیں علی خانہ کعبہ۔ دوش احمد پہ ہوئی آپ کو حاصل معراج، اے قدم مہر نبوت پہ جمانے والے ہیں علی خانہ کعبہ۔ جو طلب میں نے کیا تو نے عنایت سے دیا، تیرے قربان میرے ناز اٹھانے والے ہیں علی خانہ کعبہ۔ بھوک اور پیاس میں ایک ایک ہزاروں سے لڑا، کیا بہادر تھے محمد کے گھرانے والے ہیں علی نئے کعبہ۔ خوب پچھتائیں گے دوزخ میں، جلیں گے جس دم خیمہ آل محمد کے جلانے والے ہیں علی خانہ کعبہ۔ مٹ نہیں سکتا مٹانے سے غم سے پہ نبی، خود ہی مٹ جائیں گے اس غم کے مٹانے والے ہیں علی خانہ کعبہ۔ سورہ فاتحہ۔ گئی زندان میں جب کہ دختر شبیر مر گئی زندان میں جب کہ دختر شبیر مر گئی دنیا سے دفعتاً سفر خلد کر گئی کنبے کے دل پداغ جدائی کا دھر گئی غل پڑ گیا حسین کی عاشق گزر گئی غل پڑ گیا حسین کی عاشق گزر گئی جنت بسائی دیکھ کے دنیا کے باغ کو تازہ کیا ہے پھر علی اصغر کے داغ کو تازہ کیا ہے پھر علی اصغر کے داغ کو بازو ہلا کے بانوئے ناشاد نے کہا بی بی پدر کے سر سے اٹھاؤ تو سر ذرا باتیں ابھی تو کرتی تھی آنسو بہا بہا ساکت ہے نبض ہائے غضب سرد دست و پا ساکت ہے نبض ہائے غضب سرد دست و پا منہ دیکھتے ہی زیس کا نقشہ بدل گیا کس وقت سانس رک گئی کب دم نکل گیا کس وقت سانس رک گئی کب دم نکل گیا لو ہاتھ جوڑتی ہے یہ ماں سکینہ جان مجھ کو بلا لو تم ہو جہاں سکینہ جان ڈھونڈوں نکل کے تم کو کہاں سکینہ جان مادر کو خبر ہے یہ مکان سکینہ جان مادر کو خبر ہے یہ مکان سکینہ جان میں جانتی ہوں موت سے بدتر حیات کو اب کون سوئے گا میرے پہلو میں رات کو اب کون سوئے گا میرے پہلو میں رات کو بچی ماں تجھے کدھر اب ڈھونڈنے کو جائے اے غم رسیدہ تو نے قیامت کے دکھ اٹھائے چھٹ کر پیدر سے گھڑکیاں کھائیں تماچے کھائے بی بی رسند بندھی تیری گردن میں ہائے ہائے بی بی رسند بندھی تیری گردن میں ہائے ہائے جو سختیاں فلک نے دکھائیں وہ سہ گئی، بندے جو چھن گئے میرا منہ تک کے رہ گئی، بندے جو چھن گئے میرا منہ تک کے رہ گئی، بندے جو چھن گئے میرا منہ تک کے رہ گئی، قربان جاؤں قیدیے دام بلا ہے ماں، آفت میں بعد سبت نبی مبتلا ہے ماں، مجبور ہے غریب ہے بے دست و پا ہے ماں، بی بی کو دے کہاں سے کفن بے ردا ہے ماں، بی بی کو دے کہاں سے کفن بے ردا ہے ماں، پہلے سے خاک میں ہے بدن سب عطا ہوا، لے جاؤ قبر میں یہی کرتا پھٹا ہوا، لے جاؤ قبر میں یہی کرتا پھٹا ہوا، ایذا سے غم سے رنج اٹھانے سے چھٹ گئی، کنبے سے کیا کہ سارے زمانے سے چھٹ گئی، ہر صبح و شام اشک بہانے سے چھٹ گئی، اچھا ہوا کہ گھڑکیاں کھانے سے چھٹ گئی، اچھا ہوا کہ گھڑکیاں کھانے سے چھٹ گئی، نیند اڑ گئی تھی لوگوں کی بچی کے بین سے، اب تو یزید رات کو سوئے گا چین سے، اب تو یزید رات کو سوئے گا چین سے، زندان میں جب کہ دوپہرے
السلام علیکم مومنین و مومنات، بی بی سکینہ کی شہادت کے سلسلے کی جو 3 مجالس کا سلسلہ تھا وہ آج اختتام پذیر ہو رہا ہے، بعد مجلس تابوت بی بی سکینہ برآمد ہوگا۔ ہمارا اگلا پروگرام جو ہے وہ نیکسٹ سیٹرڈے سے 25 سپٹمبر 25 26 27 28 اور 26 27 28 یہ 4 دن کا ہمارا کہلم کا کے سلسلے کا پروگرام ہے، یعنی 16 17 18 19 20 17 18 19 20 ٹھیک ہے۔ تو یہ سلسلہ رہے گا، سیٹرڈے سے شروع ہوگا پروگرام اور ٹیوزڈے تک چلے گا، تو اس میں آپ لوگ زیادہ سے زیادہ شرکت فرمائیں۔ اور اس کے علاوہ یہ کہ ہمارے جو قبلہ کعبہ شیخ مدرس جو ہے ول ایڈریس another مجلس on October 9th to commemorate the Shahada of Masumah Qom. So he will recite another majlis inshallah. So I would like to thank Sheikh Mudarris who came here and then addressed to the majlis, and we took a very good advantage of having your speech and listening your speech and everything. So I would like to come forward and please address the majlis today also. اور محمد وعلی محمد
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الحمد لله الذي لا بداية له، والدائم الذي لا نفاد له، والأول الذي لا أول لأوليته، والآخر الذي لا مؤخر لآخريته. ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه وحبيبه، حافظ سره ومبلغ رسالاته، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين الهداة المهديين، سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: الرحمن علم القرآن، خلق الإنسان، علمه البيان، الشمس والقمر بحسبان. آمنا بالله, صدق الله العلي العظيم. For the honor of Hazrat Sakina Salamullah alayha, Shahada Karbala, especially Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam, recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Let's inshallah remember all of our marhumin of all the attendants, especially marhumin of the sponsors of the majlis for the last few nights and tonight, with the Surah Fatiha and salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. May Allah bless their soul, inshallah. So last night, I just want to clarify one thing. I mentioned a tradition from our sixth Imam, but there's one point which I am mistaken with another hadith. I want to clarify that one. So there were 6 things that I mentioned. Imam Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, a mu'min, after establishment of faith and iman, they eradicate, they get rid of these spiritual flaws and illnesses in their character. I mentioned one of them was stubbornness, lajajat. One of them was jealousy. Third one was lying. Fourth one was transgression and oppression. And then I believe that one that I forget to mention was al-usr. The last one I mentioned was the reference to the tongue and the issues of those who don't use their speech in a well-mannered way, those who use the foul language or the vain talk. That's another tradition. The one that actually is part of this hadith is al-usr. A mu'min is not a difficult person. So, la takuna fil mu'min is not in a mu'min. I mentioned 6. Just one of them was regarding the tongue. That was not for this hadith. The number 6 is al-usr. Mu'min is not a difficult person. And what we mean by difficult is referring to this concept of a mu'min. If you invite them to your house, they're not a picky eater. If they're a husband or a wife, they're not looking for an excuse to start an issue. And in other words, mu'min, you can easily get along with them. Mu'min is not the one who always have an issue with everyone. Mu'min does not pick a fight, a dispute, an issue. Try to avoid confrontation with any possible scenario, unless there's a point that the other side is not ready to understand, is not ready to reconciliate. Then the methodology is hayhat minna dhillah. Then we don't accept humiliation. We're not here to be pushed over by anyone, but at the same time, we're not difficult either. That's a description of a mu'min. Imam Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said. So inshallah, we ask Allah to be able to benefit from the hadith that we covered and concluded last night. What I want to talk about tonight is the night of the Shahada of Hazrat Sakina Salamullah alayha. It's one of those, the verses I recited at the beginning are from Surah Rahman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this chapter started with mentioning one of his most known names and attributes, and that's Rahman. Ar-Rahman. Allah is the most beneficent, is the most merciful. And Rahman and Rahim have a major difference. One of the major differences is Rahman is the mercy of God that all creation will benefit from it. Even if you deny the existence of God, even if you're an atheist, Allah still is merciful to you to that degree. Rahman is the mercy of God that all mankind, if they want it or not, they receive it. Like, for example, Allah is merciful that gives us life. Allah is merciful that doesn't punish us right away. Allah is merciful that give us the chance of repentance after even multiple or many times of breaking the promise He gave us. These are all mercy of God. But Rahim is a special mercy. Only those who have a bond and connection with God receive that mercy. Mu'mineen, the believers, are the ones receiving Rahim, that the special form of mercy, like guidance, like intercession and shafa'at, and many other form of mercy. So Allah started with Ar-Rahman. So remember, Allah is the most compassionate, the most merciful. Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran. He's the one who taught man Quran, this book of guidance and wisdom, which is the most complete one according to the Quran itself. Allamahu al-Bayan. خلق الإنسان. The third, then Allah said, we created mankind. Somehow there's a very detailed tafsir on this, that why Allah did not say we created man, then we taught him Quran. Why He said taught Quran first, and then third Allah says created man. That's for another lecture. But the first three verses said the most beneficial Allah, the one who taught man the Quran, the one who created mankind. The fourth one is Allamahu al-Bayan. Allah taught man the ability to communicate, the ability of speech. Bayan is when you are capable of conveying what you have in heart and in your mind to others, is Bayan. And then the one after is about the speech of tonight. Allah said, Ash-shamsu wal-qamaru bi-husban. So the sun and the moon, they are moving in a precise movement. They have a hisab. There is a calculation. There is a design for the way they are functioning. This hisab, this measurement, is referring to the nazm of Allah's creation. Nazm is order. That everything is in the right place in Allah's creation. إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Quran says in the creation of the earth and heavens and in the alternation of day and night, there are signs for those who are possessors of intellect. If you're wise enough, you look at the beauty of this creation, just as solar system as an example. You look at the beauty. That's why in Islam, astronomy was such a fascinating subject for many early scholars of Islam. You go look at the golden age of Islam, which unfortunately we're far away from it. As there's a long time we are involved in unfortunate dispute and division. Of course, we will not have time to seek knowledge or study the universe that Allah created. But there was a golden age that we had scholars like Jabir ibn Hayyan, Haji Nasiruddin Tusi. We had scholars such as Abu Ali Sina. All these names that there are, each of them are icons of their own fields. And among Muslims, astronomy was an important field to study because it was this amazing universe of knowledge that you're pondering in the creation of anything beside Earth was providing this depth of understanding of our insignificance in the universe. But the more and more you study, Allah is asking us literally to look at the heavens. Imam Ali alayhi salam is looking at the heavens, and we have what he's saying, he is reciting the verse of Quran that, O Allah, ma khalaqta hadha abatha, you did not create all this in vain. All this beauty, all these stars, and now we know exactly that star, what represent today, we know, right? That star represent its own probably galaxy. It could be that star that we see the light of it, it takes such a long time to get to us that maybe that star is gone. Now we know it. But Allah, Imam Ali is looking at that heavens and saying those words, that all this amazing vastness of universe, you did not create this just for a mere amusement or some pointless cause. There is a reason. And Quran said, Ash-shamsu wal-qamaru bi-husban. Shams is the sun, Qamar is the moon. But look at them, that there is a Usman, there's a hisab behind it. There's a hisab. There's a plan behind it. And the study of the astronomy was helping mankind to find that. You know, who created, as we know, the modern calendar? Anyone knows? Taqweem. Anyone? A Muslim scholar did. If you look it up, they will tell you that the modern calendar, the form of the 12th month and all these was done by a Muslim scholar. Some say it was Khayyam. He was a poet, he was a mathematician, he was an astronomer. So this study of the universe helps us to figure out one thing, and that is that everything is working and function according to a proper order. They have a nazm, they have an order. And that's the topic of tonight. And when Allah is asking us to study the universe, by the way, we are highly encouraged. We're not like, you know, in Christianity, there's a lot of clash between scientific discoveries and faith. For example, Galileo, the one who was literally persecuted by the church because his discovery of this concept that the earth is not center of the earth, it's not the center of the universe, or it's not the center of the solar system. Sun is. So is that the earth and the rest of the planets are rotating around the sun? He said it, and church, so we're going to kill you. You're a heretic. Why? Because you're going against what we believe, and that is that the earth is the center. So later on, of course, he said I was wrong. You know, to avoid persecution, he said, okay, whatever you say, you'll just let me go. And when he walked out, he picked up a stick. He was on a beach, and he started, you know, drawing something and writing something on the beach because the water is going to come and quickly cover it. He wrote down, although Galileo said that, you know, sun is not the center of the solar system, as we call it solar system today because of that. Although I denied it, but reality doesn't change. It's still sun is the center of the solar system. So the point of that is that we don't have that. Allah says, go study it. Go find out. Literally, the concept of Quran is go study. Right? أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. Allah does not give us anything. He said, why you're not looking at the camel as in one sample of the, you know, mammals, one animal? Why you don't why you don't look at it? Why you don't study it? يَنْظُرُونَ, nazar is not ru'ya. That's the beauty of the Arabic language in Quran. When you ru'ya in Arabic means when you look. I look at this and I move on. Nazar is to look and dissect, to go deeper, to observe. Allah said, أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. Why are you not observing? Why are you not studying this camel, how did we created it? It's your job. Go and do it. Honestly, if as Muslims we would have followed this command of Quran, all these great, you know, let's call them geologists, or let's call them zoologists, those who study animals should have been Muslim. Because the encouragers go study them, figure out what's going on. Many of these documentaries that unfortunately we come to a point, many Muslims, we don't have an option on many of these platforms beside, you know, nature documentaries, right? Nothing else is watchable. This is for me, maybe for many, alhamdulillah, they have a high threshold of seeing and watching stuff. But some stuff, you know, you go and I'm on an airplane. There's so many stuff. What I'm going to watch again, if I want to entertain, and you may say, Sheikh, why are you not reciting Quran? It's 16 hours. Give me a break. I need something in the middle. So you contemplate, you do that, you read a book, and sometimes what should I watch? And the only thing you truly can watch without an issue is some documentary is there. You can actually learn something from it. Why is that we don't follow that? Because Quran didn't give us all the details. Go study it yourself. About the sun and the moon, Quran is one of the few books that use other planets, stars as a subject of qasam. We have the entire chapter called Najm, the star. And then Allah swore by it. وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى. And then Allah used an oath which is mind-boggling to our time. He said, I swear by what? By the location of the star. Not by the star itself, by where they are. And then said, وَهُوَ قَسَمٌ لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عَظِيمٌ. If you know what it means, the location of the star, it's a great and magnificent oath and qasam. Today we know the distance where we you know, the astronomers, they use the concept of light year, right? As a unit of distance. Means look at the speed of the light in a second, right? What's the speed of light in a second? 300,000 kilometers per second. So it's such a big distance that light travels in that speed. That, for example, a star, that planet, that galaxy is 1 million light year away from us. Because we cannot really come to say it otherwise. Trillion, gazillion, and all of that will not be enough. So how you convert such a distance to light year? The fastest thing is that light travels faster, right? That's why we have delay with the audio, right? Because sound wave doesn't speed as fast as light. So Allah said, I swear by the location of the star. Now we know the distance. Now we know how vast and how, in any sense, beyond our imagination, the size of just this creation is. We can even figure out the size of the universe properly. There's some theories. How are we going to figure out the vast of greatness of Allah? So Nazm is one of those things that Allah said you can find in creation. Allah in the other ayah said, in the fi khalq as-samawati wal ard, in the creation of the heavens and the earth. The word samawat refers to heavens, skies, and the earth, wal ard, and alternation between day and night. So why we have day, why we have night? And there are actually beautiful, amazing work of art done about the importance of day and night for the world. You know, the importance of tropical forest, the importance of desert, the importance of everything. It's just amazing. You know that the Sahara Desert, one of the way that the tropical jungles in Amazon, they're being somehow, they need fertilizers to sustain, is through these somehow, when we look at the wilderness and the way that we have all these waves are passing these fertilizers all the way from Africa to Amazon and Brazil. There are documentaries about it. And you just look at this, subhanAllah, how you can call, so this is just mere coincidence. Somehow things are working out. And I see that and somehow I'm worried about my rizq. So the Amazon forest, they need rizq, they need fertilizer, they need somewhere to sustain. And a human being is worried about his or her rizq. Allah is not forgetting the nature, a tree. How can forget you? The other ayah said, when you فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَىٰ طَعَامِهِ, Quran says, do nazar to what you eat, to your food, to what you consume. Again, doesn't say look, say nazar, observe, go deeper. From what you're eating, it means what you put into your body. You have the whole dietitian and pediatrics and people who are involved in this, they study it. And on top of that, we have that, what you consume. It could be about the spiritual food. Imam Salih said, referring to the book you read, to the movie you watch, the lecture you listen to. You have to be observant of what you're taking in, what information you're letting in. And also, as I'm talking about your physical and whatever you consume and eat as well. But it's not limited to food. It's any kind of food, a food for thought or food for your body. So what's the topic I'm trying to get into? There is a hadith, subhanAllah, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam. Please remember this. If we come for the Azza of Ahlul Bayt, if we come to Muharram, Ashura, any day, at the end of the day, if we don't listen to Ahlul Bayt, if we ignore their ahadith, if we ignore their teaching, there is not much difference between those who disobeyed them when they were alive and the one that we live at this time. The difference is that they were alive and into their face, they said, no, whatever you say, we're going to do whatever we like. That's the people who were alive during the time of Imam Baqir or Imam al-Hussein. But at our time, we read the tradition, we hear the hadith, and we say, you know what? I know what Imam said, but still I'm going to do what I like. I follow my own version of deen, my own version of being a Shia. And that's a disaster. Because Ahlul Bayt said, so if you are Shia, you cannot be our Shia except, Imam Baqir said, except ta'atillah, with the obedience of Allah. If you disobey God, you can call ourselves Shia, and Shia, how we become Imams of Ahlul Bayt? How? With the taqwa, with the obedience. The levels, of course, is a level of a ma'soom, but it's not that, God forbid, Imam did whatever he liked or whatever he desired. He followed the command of Allah. What's the word of Sayyid al-Shahada at the final moment of his life? Ilahi ridan Ridha. Ya Allah, what's your rizah? What you're happy with? What's your satisfaction? Hussein is happy with what you're happy. How you can say, I want to do whatever I want, instead of saying, okay, what Imam al-Hussein is happy with, and instead of doing what he wants, I'm going to do what I want. That would be the moment of our downfall. Our cries will become the cries of people of Kufa. People of Kufa cried. They were weeping as they brought Usarai Karbala, they were crying. And Hazrat Zainab looked at them and said, why are you crying? What's the point of your crying? You're the same people who wrote letters to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And now is the time. Even now you see his family in chain and shackles and still you do nothing. So what do we need your tears for? So if you come to Majaz al-Udub and this, yes, we do cry for Imam Hussein. It is the highest sawab, highest reward we can find. But if that tears is not in line with obedience of Imam Hussein's order and teaching, what's the point? Why we're different from that? Why we should be different? Because they did cry. But the moment they could have done something, they could have stand against Zulm. The moment they can stand against Zalim, against the one, like Yazid and Ibn Ziyad, they did nothing. I come to Masjid, I come to Imam Barga, I come to Siniya, but my actions outside and inside are totally different. I'm crying for Imam Hussein here, but outside I'm a mini Yazid in my own version, God forbid. Drinking, not a big deal. Maram, na maram, I don't care. Halal or haram coming to my life, I don't care. I cry for Imam Hussein. What Imam Hussein said to the people of the army of Umar Assad, what did he say? He said, the reason you don't listen to what I say and you don't hear me is because your stomach is filled with haram. That's why. So I can come to Majaz and Hussein and cry, and my stomach is filled with haram outside. There's not that much different. Yes, alhamdulillah, we're not as ashqal ashqiya, we're not the most richest of mankind to kill Imam Hussein, God forbid. I'm not trying to say, oh, they were not that bad. Their crime is not a forgivable crime. In our situation, our sins could be forgiven. We could redeem ourselves. But if we think that if I don't obey, if I don't listen to what the Messenger of God said, to what Ahlul Bayt said, and I still can't create a bond with Ahlul Bayt, I didn't get it right. So Imam Bakr alayhi salam said, Inni la ubghidu rajul. I do not like some people. Imam hardly say that because Imams are so forgiving. They're a manifestation of Allah's mercy. Rasulullah, what Allah is calling Prophet, what is his title? Rahmatun lil alameen. Rahmat, of course, Allah is the most merciful, right? We're not comparing. People, when you say Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam is Rahmatullah al-Wasi'ah, is one of the extensions of Allah's mercy. They say, oh, it's shirk. Only Allah is merciful. So go read Quran. If you were not ignorant, you would get it that Quran called Prophet Rahmatun lil Alameen, mercy for mankind. Is that shirk too? Are you now going after Allah and Quran as well? So Imam al-Hussein and the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, they are manifestation of Allah's mercy. Allah wants to show His mercy, sometimes show it through rain. We call rain Rahmah, as a tradition says. Sometimes the mercy is your parent. We have the parents, good parents, salih parents, righteous parents are mercy of Allah. So mercy comes in different shapes and form. Allah shows His mercy in some channels. One of them is what? Is the Imam. Imam is the rahmah of Allah for mankind. That's why they're so forgiving. That's why even against all the abuse, all the torture, they still try to help. Still try to help. That's why when all the ashab of Imam Hussein is killed, what is his word? You recited, you listened to Maqtal. It said, one of the sentences of Imam Hussein, we repeat it from the beginning to end is this: Hal min nasirin yansuruna. Is there anyone who's willing to help us, to support us? And people say, why Imam repeated it? This is after they killed every single one of his companions. If they would have wanted to help, they would have done it at the beginning. Now all the Ashab, all the Bani Hashim, all of them are killed, and still Imam is the final person who's going to battle, and you still repeat, Hal min nasirin yansuruna. When you look at it, it's been said, the reason for that is that Imam is the guidance, is the mercy. He still wants to save someone, even then. Even then, if Imam said, I can save someone, this is still the way to go. That's why, again, we You see over and over when people come to Imam Ahlul Bayt and said, is the door of Allah's mercy closed to me? I did so many wrong things. Imam said, no, still there is hope for you. Still hope for you. You can redeem yourself. You can repent. You can be better. But there is a moment that you see that Imam Ahlul Bayt, Imam said, I don't like some people. Imam Baghr said, what happened to the person who is a manifestation of Allah's mercy? One of the shapes and form of God's mercy. He said, I don't like some people. What is it? He said, Man rajula kislanan. A lazy person, I don't like them. Kasal. Someone who doesn't work, someone who's a potato couch, someone who's literally do nothing. And then Imam said, they're lazy not just with their namaz or prayer. Kislanan li'amri dunya. Imam Baghr said, I do not like someone who is lazy and kasal when it comes to the work of their dunya. Whatever responsibility they have in dunya, they're kasal. Kasal means the one who's lazy, not motivated, the one who has no, let's call energy to actually move and act, the one who's idle, the one who's snoozing. That's what kasal is. And also, I don't like this person. When their dunya's work, what is dunya work? When it comes to studying, they're lazy. When it comes to doing chores around the house, they're lazy. When it comes to doing their job and work, they're lazy. Whatever you count on it, even in dunya, they're lazy. They're kasal. And then Imam said, why? I dislike. I'm not in line with that person. With the dunya, they're lazy. They're not motivated. They're not energetic to do the dunya's work. This life's work. Imam continued beautiful, making a concept, an observation from his wisdom, right? Said, because that person, وَهُوَ لِأَمْرِ آخِرَتِهِ أَكْسَلُ. Because that person who's lazy in their dunya, they're even lazier when it comes to akhirah. When it comes to the akhirah, they will be lazier. I give an example. If somebody's late to their school every day, to their work every day, there's someone who can't really count on their word, they're taking nap randomly wherever in the day is. Do you think that person is very punctual with their namaz time? Or their fajr, they're going to wake up. They don't wake up for their school, their college. Do you think they're going to wake up for fajr? Why is that? Because usually we develop a personality. Quran said, "Qul kullun ya'malu ala shakilatihi." Tell them that everybody acts based on their shakila. What is shakila? Shikl means shape. Shakila means the way you shape your personality, your character. Your amal, Quran says, according to the way you are. If you grew up to be a lazy person, your actions are lazy. If you're a hardworking person, your personality is a hardworking person, that's your character. You act according to that. It's not sudden, switch that we turn on and off. If I'm a lazy person, again, if somebody doesn't do anything in the center, they don't even pick up a cup, the chances are in their house, they're the same way. Chances are high. There are, of course, exceptions to every rule, but usually we are the way we are everywhere. Sometimes, we are a bit maybe shy to show who we are in front of others. That's why I remember one of my teachers used to say, so if you want to pray behind someone, he didn't say it's a condition of Islam. It was his opinion. So people say how we can know if the Imam is adil or not. Adil means just. The Imam of Jama'at has to be just. Means he's not committing any great major sin. It's not supposed to be ma'soom, by the way. You can, if you're looking for a ma'soom and infallible Imam, you cannot pray behind anyone until the Imam over time. We don't say that. The condition is idalat. Because they're not committing major sins. They're well known to be decent people. He used to say, if you want to know somebody's adil or not, see if his family pray behind him. So when we show who we are in front of our family. In front of others, you have a different version, but in front of our family, we're comfortable. And we're referring to those, families who not, God forbid, lose their faith themselves. So if somebody's not religious and they don't pray behind their dad, is their problem. But if somebody is actually mutadayyi and they do their namaz and they don't pray behind their dad, that's not a good sign. That's not. So going back to the topic, Imam said, the one who's lazy in dunya, the one who's disorganized in dunya, they will be, when it comes to their akhirat, even lazier and more disorganized. That's why I don't like that person. Wow. So the tradition is, start organizing your life. Stop disciplining yourself. The final wasiyat of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Recite the salawat ala Imam alayhi salam says, what's the final wasiyat of Imam? He said, Usikuma. So he's referring to Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein. Said, my wasiyat, my final will to you two. Usikuma wa jami'a waladi, and all my children. So you two specifically, these are the next Imam, and all my children, wa ahli, and all my family members, my relatives, my family. وَمَنْ بَلَغَهُ كِتَابِي, and whoever is going to reach and one day read this wasiyah. So whoever one day is going to listen, read it to the wasiyah of Imam Ali. What is my wasiyah to you? Number one, bittaqwa Allah. Number one is to be God conscious. Number one is to be virtuous, to be pious, to have self-restraint, to don't let go and do whatever you like. If someone says whatever they want, if they do whatever they want, if they have no restraint, no control over their action, thoughts, and words, that's not taqwa. That's opposite of taqwa. Taqwa is to have a filter. People say, oh, I don't want to censor myself. I want to say the things the way they are. I like to do whatever I like to do. And I tell people, a sociopath or psychopath, if you say do whatever you like, what about them? So no, except a psychopath. The rest of you do whatever you want. So if you're abandoned, if you're left to our own, we're not making good decisions. We don't. Human beings, we don't make good decisions. You want an example of that? Look at the wars that is happening around us. This is humanity. We're alone. We can do whatever we want. We're not making a lot of good decisions. We make terrible decisions as people. So what's the solution? Solution is to discipline yourself, to have taqwa, to restrain yourself. You cannot say whatever you want. What happens if that's the case? You hurt people. You cause suffering if you say whatever you want. You walk around and say, oh, you're ugly. You walk around and say, you just start naming people. What's going to happen? It's not going, no good is going to come out of that. So Imam said, then first thing is have taqwa. What's the second one? وَنَظْمِ أَمْرِكُمْ. This is Imam Ali on his Shahada time. So I'm asking you, and this specifically mention us, وَمَنْ بَلَغَهُ كِتَابِي. One day, thousands of years later, there will be someone who's my Shia, my follower, who will read this. I'm advising them. This is my wasiyah to them. My final word to them is taqwa and nazm. Nazm is order, discipline. I'm asking you as mu'mins to have discipline and order in your life. Without discipline, taqwa is not possible. Right? That's, you look at our religion, it's all about timing. So look at our time of 5 times of prayer, namaz. It's about a special time. You can say, I pray whenever I feel like it. It's Fajr time, you wake up. It's discipline. It's a nazm. When you go to the time of Hajj, you can say, I go to Hajj Wajib anytime I like. It's a time. There is a time you should go. This is basically the deadline. If you miss it, you missed it. This year is gone. We can't just do whatever you want. Same thing when it comes to Arba'een, Ziyarat and Arba'een. Yes, Ziyarat is always recommended, but if you want to just follow Arba'een, there's a time for it. When it comes to the haq, right, the financial responsibility, there's about a plan, there's discipline, you give khums. There's once a year, you calculate your khums. There should be a date, a certain date, a certain month is your khums time. As a nazm. Whatever I feel like it, I give some dollars and a few dollars to some poor. There's a nazm for them. So every aspect of our life is about nazm. We need to discipline ourselves. What should we do to do nazm? So that's a vague statement. Imam Ali said, have order, have nazm. How can we do nazm in our life? Number one, which is the most important one, is to have a schedule, have a routine. If you turn on your video game, if you turn on your computer, if you watch Netflix, if you turn on YouTube, I don't know what you do. And you don't have a dead end, if you don't have a time of start and finish, that's not proper nazm. Nazm is to start at a certain point, finish at a certain point. And that's fine. We have a riwayah that you have to have halal leisure, halal pleasure. That's part of our life. We need halal pleasure. Allah doesn't say work, 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 ibadat, 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 and nothing. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, you need one part with Allah, connection. Second part is for making an income, take care of your livelihood, don't be dependent on other people, provide. And the third one is halal leisure, halal pleasure. So it's about not ignoring a need that we need. We need to rest, right? We need to enjoy time with friends, family, they're good, but everything has to have a nazm. We cannot live in chaos. Chaos doesn't provide any good outcome. So the first thing to have a schedule. The riwayah said the best schedule is to write it down. So the word of Imam alayhi salam is, "Alliq al-ilma bil-kitaba." The first thing is to imprison knowledge with writing. I've been saying this because I feel that a lot of us, we have good ideas, we feel like it, we're somehow inspired by a hadith, we're inspired by a lecture, we're inspired by a mawizah, whatever it is. And then we think we're going to remember this from tomorrow. But the chances are there's so many distractions. As soon as the first, Instagram notification comes, right? The first Twitter notification comes, the text message from work comes. We're human beings. We cannot focus on multiple things at the same time. We get distracted. They call it, there are studies that they say attention span of people right now in 21st century, 2020 was the last year, is in seconds, not even minutes. You have seconds to get somebody's attention, and after a few seconds, they're going to doze off, they're going to be distracted. So many distractions around us. So what is the one antidote to that distraction is to write it down. You're going to forget, you're going to not remember, write it down. This is my routine. This is the nazm. I'm going to wake up 7 to 8. I'm going to do whatever. Again, the schedules have to be suitable to your need. And 12-year-old schedule should not be the same as a 30-year-old, right? You look at what is your need, what are your responsibilities according to that. So please don't write a 30-year-old schedule for your 12-year-old son. Don't. They cannot tolerate it. You will exhaust them. Eventually, it will backfire. The hadith said that when you talk to people, talk based on their intellect. What's their intellectual level? Talk to them to that. If they cannot understand beyond a level, don't waste your time, don't waste their time. It's not their fault. That's the level they are. So Imam said, when I speak to a child, I speak to the language of a child. When Imam Ali was playing with orphans, he was not giving the khutbah of Nahj al-Balagha. What was he doing with Imam Ali with orphans? He was acting like a sheep. So I'm your horse, come on my back, and I'm going to walk. The commander of faithful was walking on his knees and hands to make an orphan happy and smile. And what they did to the orphans of Hussein alayhi salam, let it be. That's the. So we should know that number one way to make nazm is a schedule. Have a time for your namaz. It is an on time. We're going to do namaz. They ask Ayatollah Bahjat, if you're familiar, Ayatollah Bahjat, may Allah bless his soul, is one of the great mujtahideen of our time, especially in regard of taqwa. In regard of, he was known for his level of devotion. A man that when he was coming to Imam Riza's ziyarat or Hazrat Masum's ziyarat, hundreds of people just come to watch him pray. This is why we're part of our good nature. We're not evil by nature. If we abandon our own without proper plan and schedule, we deviate. We get distracted, but our nature is good. That's why he didn't ask for anyone. He would just go in the corner and pray, and people they just fall in love with his prayers. And they ask him, so they ask him, said, Sheikh, what should we do? There's so many things that we want to get closer to Allah. We want huzur al-qalb and presence of the heart in our namaz. We feel that our namaz doesn't change us as much. What should we do? And he said, I have one advice for you. Do your namaz on time. One thing. Awwal, do your best to put your effort to do it on time. If you make it a habit, if you develop a routine, then other barakat will come. But keep that in mind. Because it shows your commitment to namaz, it shows your commitment to Allah. I do it on time. So that's number one. What's the second thing we can do? To develop nazm, order. What I will refer to number two is adab. If you want discipline, if you're looking for order in your life, what we need is adab. What is adab? I talked about adab in the extended Muharram, but adab basically is to be mindful of what's happening around you. Adab help us to be less distracted. For example, there's adab for speech, for kalam, adabul kalam, etiquette of talking, how to speak. And adabul kalam, one of them is to don't interrupt people. If somebody's talking, even if what they say you disagree with, let them finish their thought. Imam Rida alayhi salam said, do not interrupt people. Because interrupting people, Imam Rida alayhi salam says, like you are scratching them on their face. That the term is that you're hurting them. Somebody's in the middle of their thought, let them finish. And about the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, we don't even have once they interrupted someone. Sometimes the only reason they didn't interrupt, if somebody was asking for help, they wanted some donation or something, Imam would not let them be more uncomfortable to just express what they need. Imam said, okay, just come here, just come, be alone, not in front of people. Otherwise, if they're saying something, even if they were saying something disrespectful, Imam will let them finish. It's adabul kalam. Another adabul kalam is to don't raise your voice. لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي. Don't raise your voice, above the voice of Prophet. Let him be the one talking, but in general, Quran give a description of kind of something we need, kind of strong, harsh reminder to actually get it. Imam said, Quran said, don't raise your voice. إن أنكر الأصوات لصوت الحمير. The ugliest, the harshest sound out there is the sound of a donkey. So don't scream, don't shout, lower your voice. People can hear you. You have that people who have no proper argument, they try to substitute their volume, their voice volume as an alternative. So it means the louder you get, you have nothing to say actually. The emptier is your speech is the reason I get louder, because I know if they actually come to a dialogue, a one-to-one, I have nothing. Let's just distract and bring the voice, right? I have a good voice. So that would be the second adab. And I finish with this. There's much to contemplate, but there is a beautiful tradition by Prophet. Prophet said, Ana adibullah. So who taught me adab? Prophet said, Allah did. The one who disciplined me, the one who taught me the adab is Allah. Wa aliyun adibi. And Ali is the one I taught adab. He is my work. So adab is so important that the Prophet said, Allah give me and I give it, I pass it down to Ali alayhi salam. Ana madinatul ilm wa aliyun. So adab is one of those forms of knowledge. So adab used to be mindful. When you eat, there's adab al-ta'am. There's an etiquette of how to eat. Say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wash your hand before eating. Don't stare at other people's food or their mouth. Don't count how many bites they've been eating. These are adab. These are not haram. These are not forbidden. These are not required. But it's adab. What is adab? Adab again is about how it helps to nazm, you may ask. Because as I said, nazm is order. Nazm is discipline. When you have adab with ta'am, the adab, the manner of how to eat, you do everything in the right place. The adab of food is we should not speak while eating. Is adab. Why? Because we should let the food be the time of food and talking the time of talking. Maulanas, we cannot do it, by the way. The moment we start eating, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of questions. So the one option I have is to not eat anything, and then people feel bad to ask questions. So I have a dilemma how to reconcile the issue. I don't mind answering people and not eating, because for me, it's a great benefit to me if I am able to help anyone answer any question. The reward I get is beyond any dua or any prayer I can make if I help someone with answering the question. But the point is, adab of ta'am is to be mindful. To discipline yourself, this is how I'm going to eat. If I'm lying down on my bed and the plate is on my chest and I'm watching my laptop, That's not discipline. It is uncomfortable, but it's not discipline. If I have my phone and then somebody's talking to me and I talk to the phone and talk to them, that's not adab. That's not being disciplined. So we need, inshallah, nazm. Imam Ali said we need it. Quran talks about the nazm. Allah said, look at you and find the beauty of order around you. You need order too. You need order. How to do it? Step number one, routine, schedule. An organized mind will help an organized action. Don't count, one of the greatest flaw of our mind is that we overestimate. These are studies done, by the way, that they ask majority of people, how much do you think, you remember, your memory, how good it is. Most of the time people overestimate their memory. So I'm very good, and then they actually test them and they're not that good. And one of the worst of all things is what? Testimonies. When people become shahid. So I saw it. Many innocent people end up in jail. Some even were unfortunately persecuted in America because of these testimonies, eyewitness testimony. Because people say, oh, I saw it. I saw it. But in reality, after they get deeper, they have DNA matching, and so it wasn't. This person was not even in this country when you see I saw him. Why is it that because overestimate, I'm sure that it is. And we overestimate the power of our memory. I'm going to remember. I know what I'm doing. I have nas. We overestimate everything. And that's why we don't put enough effort to change. We don't put enough effort to improve. I'm good enough. It's other people's fault. They're too early. I'm not too late. They're too early, right? So 3 things remember from tonight. Nazm, routine, adab. And inshallah, if you follow these things and try to improve one step, don't do too much. Drastically, you cannot become a munazzam and organized person tomorrow. Start one thing at a time. Because if you do too much, then you get exhausted and you give up. Start with one thing. The nazm is, I'm going to, for sure, this is the routine. I'm going to brush my teeth for sure. No matter how tired I am, I'm going to brush my teeth. Start small. Before falling asleep, it's highly recommended to recite 3 times Surah Tawheed. Narrated from Hazrat Fatima, right? Before sleep, Prophet taught her, said, my daughter, don't sleep unless you finish the entire Quran, unless you send blessing to all the Prophet and messengers of God, unless you perform Hajj Umrah, and unless you ask Allah to forgive all the mu'mineen, all the believers. And Hazrat said, how can I do that before falling asleep to do all that? And Prophet said, my daughter, recite 3 times Surah Qul Huwallah. Allah will reward you the thawab of the Khatm Quran, completion of Quran. Surah Tawheed is manageable. You can do 3 times Qul Huwallah. Then say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. That is equivalent of sending reward and blessing to all the prophets of God. And then say, Allahumma aghfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat. That is equivalent of asking Allah to forgive all the believing men and women. And then say, Subhanallah walhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. That is the thawab of doing Umrah. So start with one of them. Don't do even all of them. Again, it's too much for you. Just 3 times Surah Tawheed. That's a routine. That adds something to your life. That brings a barakah. And then step number 2, pay attention. I'm in the Imam Barga. There's an elder coming. The adab is let them go first. It's adab. Is that discipline? Somebody needs a chair, I offer him a chair. If they're speaking, I'm not going to interrupt. That will increase our attention to our surrounding, and with that, inshallah, Allah will increase His blessing to us. If I discipline myself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will find us worthier to give us what we need. Let's inshallah finish and conclude our majlis with the remembrance of a granddaughter of someone that one of his greatest concern was yatims. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he over and over repeated to Muslims, Allah, Allah fil aitam. By God, By God, be aware, be concerned, and be mindful of orphans. And of course, we said the apple doesn't fall far away from the tree. Imam al-Hussein is the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He is also the one who invested most of his efforts toward orphans. But in his journey toward Kufa, which was interrupted eventually, the news came on the 2nd or 3rd of Muharram that your messenger, Muslim ibn Aqil, was martyred. And as Imam Hussein heard the news of Shahada of Muslim, imagine how difficult it is that you always keep this in mind, that Muslims sent a letter to Imam, said everything is ready. They gave me the allegiance. Come. And Imam acted based on what's zahir, right? Whatever is apparent, Imam has to follow that. The same way Prophet knew the munafiqeen. Quran told them that we know who they are. The Prophet has to act according to what's zahir. Whatever is people showing, we're going to judge them based on that. The hidden part is with Allah. He will judge. So when the news of Shahada Muslim came, Imam Hussein told his sister Zainab, bring me the orphan of Muslim Nabi. Bring me his daughter. Muslim had a daughter by the name Hamida. And Imam said, before bringing her, it's an orphan. Make her happy. Gave her a pair of earrings. Dressed her in new clothes. Although she became an orphan, I don't want her to feel that she's not going to have anyone. So Hazrat Zainab went and brought Hamida, the orphan of Muslim. The girl, as she came, Imam Hussein embraced her, started putting his hand on her head. And she sensed something, said, tell me, Ya Abu Abdullah, was my father killed? And Imam said, why you ask this question? So I feel the way you showed me compassion, you showed me before, but this is the way I've seen how you treat orphans. You show them special and extra attention. But how the yatim of Imam al-Hussein was treated? The yatim of Muslim got a pair of earrings. The yatim of Muslim got a new pair of clothes. Yatim of Muslim got a hug and embracement. On the day of Ashura, when Imam al-Hussein wanted to leave toward the battle, we ride in the Zuljana, but Zuljana is not moving. What happened to this horse? Why are you not listening? You never disobeyed me. And Imam looked at the feet of the horse and saw Sakina is holding on to the feet of the horse. That my father Hussein, you would show kindness and compassion to all the orphans. And now that soon I'm going to be orphaned, you're going to leave me. Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah. وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. We have that Imam Hussein got off his horse, he sat down and he sat Sakina on his lap, and you start talking to him, my beloved Sakina, I did say farewell and Khuda Hafiz to you while you're here. She looked at Imam al-Hussein and said, my father, I saw the bodies of my uncles that you brought back. I saw the body of my brother Ali Akbar. Tell me, is it possible to take us back to Medina? She is crying and she's a young girl. Imam alayhi salam said, these people are not ready to abandon us. They're not going to leave us no matter where we go, my daughter Sakina. And she is crying. And then Imam al-Hussein said a word. It said, my daughter Sakina, my beloved Sakina, stop crying. You're your tears are burning my heart. There will be soon enough reason for you to cry. But Imam, for the final time, hugged Sakina, and then he called his sister Zainab. Zainab, come and get Sakina for me. Zainab Salamullah alayha came and hold the hand of Sakina. Imam alayhi salam, as he's going toward the battle, once again he heard from the back, Mahlan, Mahla, Yabna Zahra. Who's calling Hussein? Zainab is calling Abu Abdullah. Slower, my brother Hussein. Slower, O son of Zahra. What do you want, my sister? Imam alayhi salam looked at Zainab and said, Zainab, my sister, be patient. Zainab said, Hussein, can you get off your horse one more time? What do you want, my sister? Imam get off his horse, came towards Zainab. Zainab said, my mother Zahra, before his final moment, she looked at me and said, Zainab, on the final moment on the life of your brother Hussein, kiss the neck of your brother for me. Can I kiss your neck, my brother Hussein? Zainab Salamullah alayha kissed Imam Hussein's neck for the final time, and Imam left for the battle. After the day of Ashura, after the Shahada of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, Zainab is looking. This is the time that they are doing gharat. They're stealing everything. They are burning the tents. The children, orphans are running away from one tent to another. And Zainab is looking for the children. She kept track that every child is going to be counted for, but she wasn't able to find Sakina. What happened? Wa Muhammada wa Aliya. This is the amanat of Hussein. Hussein told me that I have to take care of these orphans. Kulthum and Zainab were looking for Sakina. Where are you, Sakina? After a while, they saw Sakina is in Maqtal. She is next to the body that has no head. She is hugging this body. What are you doing, Sakina? Sakina is reciting, my father Hussein, tell me that if they give you any water at that final moment. We have that Zainab is comforting Sakina for the last time, but the enemies of Umar ibn Salam, came. They forcefully separated Sakina from Abu Abdullah. That is the reason that 3 bodies, when they were washed, the people who washed them, they started to cry. The first one was when Amir al-Mu'minin was washing the body of Fatima Zahra. As he was washing, he began to cry because Fatima Zahra hid all the bruises and the injuries on her body from Ali. The second one was, I mentioned last night, was Imam Bakr. When he was washing the body of Imam Zain al-Abidin, he saw all the marks of the injuries of Isarat on the body of his father, Imam Zajjad. But the third one who cried in the middle of the ghusl was when they were washing the body of Sakina. The one who was washing came to Zainab and said, Zainab, tell me how many times you hit this child. Zainab said, we didn't punish this child. We didn't hit or slap this child. The woman who was washing said, how is that possible? Every part of this child's body is covered in bruises. وعلى لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. Ya Allah, by the honor of Awlad al-Hussein, especially Hazrat al-Sakina, hasten in return of Imam our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. Help us to be among the awaiters, Muntazireen, and the Shias of Imam our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. By the honor of Hazrat al-Sakina, help us to be among those who are supportive. We are sponsors of orphan, we are protectors, we are of those who listen to Imam Ali alayhi salam, are mindful of the orphan and the haqq of orphans. By the honor of Imam Zain al-Abidin, by the honor of Hazrat Zainab Salamullah alayha, help us to be the protector of the message of Sayyid al-Shahada, to spread the message of Sayyid al-Shahada alayhi salam. By the honor of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, all those who are married, all those who requested dua and prayers, anywhere they are, Ya Allah, provide them relief, provide them with immediate shifa. Ya Allah, by the honor of Ahlul Bayt, all of our marhumin, especially marhumin of the sponsors of the majlis, the sponsors who help these majalis to continue, through the names of Ahlul Bayt, to be commemorated and to be remembered. Ya Allah, from this majlis and from these programs, send a thawab and a tuhf and a gift to the soul of all of their marhumin and all of the amwat. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولوالدي والدينا ولمن له حق علينا ولجميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات. As I say the Shahada, inshallah we conclude.